Did you know that Istanbul, where the European and Asian continents met and hosted various empires, is one of the important cities in the world? With airports in Turkey's largest city of Istanbul on both sides of the city are within easy reach. Are you curious about the history that makes Istanbul, home to many cultures, so important? So let's get started. The first settlement in Istanbul dates back to the Greek colonies of Megaras in the 7th century BC. However, in the excavation carried out today, remains were found up to the Polish Stone Age, 8,500 years ago. You can see the artifacts found in these excavations in the Istanbul Archaeology Museum. Emperor Constantine the Great put the capital of the Eastern Romania in Constantinople to be named after him, and built a city from scratch according to Roman zoning. Thanks to its geopolitical location, the city has developed rapidly in terms of trade and culture in a short time. During the Latin occupation in the 1200s, the city was devastated and many historical monuments were taken from the city. By the year 1453, the city's second capital of the Ottoman joined to the empire by Mehmet has been declared, and Turkey have continued to capital duty until the full establishment of the Republic in 1923. Now that we have learned the history of the city briefly, we can start our tour route. It is useful to start the route with the historical peninsula, also known as Suriçi, which is the most important touristic point of the city and where many historical monuments and structures are located. The entire peninsula surrounded by the Marmara Sea, the Golden Horn, and the Bosphorus was declared a Quetzal archaeological, first-degree archaeological and urban historical site in 1985. Sultanahmet. Let's take a look at the most important attraction point in the peninsula. Sultanahmet Square is a square where Hagia Sophia, Blue Mosque, and Topkapı Palace are located. This square contains a part of the old hippodrome, and in its historical places in the square, Dikili Taş, also known as Theodosius, Yılanlı Stone, and knitted obelisk are exhibited. Golden Horn. It is another must-see place in the impressive peninsula with its view of the Golden Horn and surrounding structures. You can isolate yourself from the crowd of the city by walking on the Galata Bridge on the Golden Horn. You can climb the Pierre Loti Hill, named after the French writer Pierre Loti, via the cable car over Eyüp. You can watch the Istanbul panorama by drinking tea, which is one of the symbols of Istanbul. Hagia Sophia. You should definitely see the Hagia Sophia Mosque, which has been used in many different functions in history, which caused the most controversy among the buildings in the square. Hagia Sophia is actually a church built 3 times in history. However, the first 2 was destroyed when it was built, and the last construction that reached today was made in 533, and it served as a church until 2nd Mehmet conquered Istanbul. Hagia Sophia, which continued to use mosques until 1932, was brought into museum status this year. However, it was turned into a mosque again in July 2020. If the works in Hagia Sophia are examined briefly, it is seen that the Doezis mosaic, one of the most important works of mosaic art, is found here. In addition, Constantine and Justinianus' mosaic can be seen towards the exit of Hagia Sophia. In this mosaic, it is seen that Constantine and Justinian dedicate their works to the Mass of Christ in the form of a model. Topkapı Palace. The palace, which was started to be built when Fatih Sultan Mehmet conquered Istanbul and was completed in 1478, has been the administrative center of the state and the house of the sultans for 400 years of the 600-year Ottoman history. The harem section of the palace, which started to be used as a museum with the proclamation of the Republic, is the most desired point to be visited by tourists. Apart from this, Hırkayı Sharif, which is very important in terms of Islamic values, is hidden and exhibited in this place. If you are someone interested in the palace and palace intrigue, that will catch your attention is Drawn Magnificent Century series in Turkey. When you leave the palace, you can visit Gülhane Park for a short break. Sultanahmet Mosque. Sultanahmet Mosque, whose domes are decorated with Maya-weighted pencilworks and Iznik tiles and which is known as Blue Mosque by Europeans, was built by architect Sedefkar Ağaya in 1600s. In 1932, when Hagia Sophia became a museum, it became the main mosque of Istanbul. Süleymaniye. In the settlement, which is located on the third hill of Istanbul and on the slope of this hill overlooking the Golden Horn, there's the Süleymaniye Mosque, one of the important works of the 16th century, which Mimar Sinan described as his journeyman work. Süleymaniye, a complex built in the name of Süleyman the Magnificent in the 1550s, includes a madrasa, library, hospital, bathhouse, and mosque. Grand Bazaar. It is the world's largest covered bazaar and one of the oldest bazaars in the center of Istanbul, near Beyazıt. There are 4,000 shops in the bazaar and can accommodate 500,000 people at the same time. You can find various spices, jewelry, woven carpets, and many souvenirs in the Grand Bazaar, which is one of the most important touristic spots. I recommend you to take a short break by drinking Turkish coffee in various cafes in the bazaar. Karaköy. Karaköy is a district that has been revived with its newly opened cafes in recent years. Especially in the evenings, you can stroll through the lively streets of Karaköy and discover the shops where designers' products are exhibited. Karaköy Çorbacısı and Karaköy Güllüoğlu are the most important places to visit in Karaköy. You can eat a variety of Turkish baklava in Güllüoğlu. Galata. Considered among the oldest towers in the world and one of the symbols of Istanbul, Galata Tower was included in the UNESCO World Heritage Temporary List in 2013. In the 17th century, Hazarfen Çelebi tried to fly in Galata Tower, which is one of the most important structures that make up the silhouette of Istanbul. While exploring the Galata Tower and its surroundings, you will admire the historical buildings. Taksim. Taksim is where the heart of Istanbul beats. Taksim Square has been on the country's agenda throughout the history with various political events. Istiklal Street is a historical street with important historical buildings. There's the French consulate at the beginning of the street. You will see Galatasaray High School when you continue along the street with the music of street artists. This is the middle of Istiklal Street. You can see Rumeli, Aleppo, and Atlas passages on the street. But wait for Czech Passage to sit somewhere. In this beautiful passage, you can experience the Turkish tavern culture and drink raki. Balat. While you are in and around the Golden Horn, you can stop by Balat, where the minority population lives, and see the streets bearing traces of history. While you are in Balat, you can see the Fener Greek Patriarchate, which is accepted as the world patriarch by the Orthodox. Due to its outer color, it is highly likely that you might confuse the Patriarch with Fener Greek Boys High School. The large dome in the middle of the high school will help you understand the difference between the two. While wandering the streets of Balat, you will see antique shops and cafes with different concepts. Kadıköy. You can reach Kadıköy from the European side by ferry. You can take a short walking tour in Kadıköy Rıhtım. During the walk, you can see Haydarpaşa Station, Eminönü and Beşiktaş ferry ports. You can enjoy Kadıköy by sitting at the cafe on the upper floor of Eminönü ferry port. The artist and the young population in Kadıköy is quite high. Street artists enliven the walls of the city by making magnificent wall graffiti. When you climb up the pier, you will see the famous bull statue. The bull statue is the meeting point for Kadıköy. The street following Boğa is Bahariye Street, and it is the busiest street in Kadıköy. There are various shops, eating and drinking places along the way. You can wear your headphones and go for a stroll on Bahariye Street, which is a long street towards Moda Sahil. Moda Sahil is an ensemble place for Kadıköy. You can stroll around Moda Sokaklar, which is a residential neighborhood, or you can sit and sip your coffee. You can love our animal friends on the beach. You can drink tea in the Moda Tea Garden and watch the children in the park next to it. You can reach Caddebostan by continuing the Moda Beach. Here you can sit on the grass and drink beer. After sipping your drinks, you can take a small stroll on Bağdat Street, which is located on the upper street of the beach and is home to luxury brands. Prince Islands. Büyükada, Heybeliada, and Burgazada are important focal points for tourists. You can take photos while wandering around the streets of the island, observing the historical houses among the flowers. Before diving into the streets, you should buy ice cream from one of the famous island ice cream shops. The Greek orphanage in Büyükada, the largest of these islands, has burnt down in recent years. The historical building is in danger of extinction. Another important building is Ayayorgi Church. This church was built in 1751. The church on the top of the island has a magnificent view. After climbing the Ayayorgi slope, you can relax and enjoy the view at the restaurant located here.